every day we discuss all things to do with the modern market. That is the crypto market, the NFT market, and how to make some or a lot of money on the internet. Load up discussions today. We have Bitcoin falling to $115,000 ahead of important Powell's speech at the annual Jackson Hole Symposium. We will discuss that in a bit. We've got A16Z backed Story Protocol founder Jason Zhao resigning to lead a different team building on Story. A lot of reaction to that on the timeline from a founder perspective. Curious to hear Bread's thoughts there. And we've got Ronin announcing, this was from Friday, announcing it will transition from an L1 to an ETH L2. Again, very curious to hear Bread's thoughts there as you kind of seeing this potential trend of L1s kind of returning to ETH. It's wonderful what some nice price action can do to convince people. We've also got the latest on price action on crypto and NFTs and a general discussion on where we think attention is flowing. So stay tuned for that. If you have been paying attention in our Telegram chat, we also have the Cerebro whitelist spots to give away at the end of the show. We're not making a big deal about these things. Said nothing on Twitter, said nothing in any public place. We just put that message out yesterday. Shout out to Cerebro for providing us with a few spots. We've been using the product for quite some time. We like them. We like the founder. And we've got some spots to give away towards the end of the show. If you reacted, if you got involved in the Telegram, if you're still not in the Telegram and you'd like to be, every now and again, there'll be things like this. Can't make any promises, but there might be. But you've got to be active and engaged, I guess, in order to take advantage. So we'll get to that at the end of the show too. But before we get there and get into all the usual stuff, just a reminder, friends, nothing that we say here is financial advice. The market is incredibly risky. We do not know anything for sure, unfortunately. So please proceed with caution and exercise your own judgment. With that out of the way, my co-host today is Bread Guy. Bread, how you doing, my man? It's Monday. It's the 18th of August.
Yo, dude, we're doing great. We're hot off the weekend, which was relaxing. You know, I actually, even though I did a lot of travel recently, which is usually when people binge watch movies, you do the 7-hour, 12-hour, 15-hour flight, and you're watching marathons of fucking Harry Potter or whatever they have on the actual airline. It was a chill weekend for us, and somehow we found ourselves doing an Alien marathon with like some of the newer ones.
Okay.
Unprompted. I'm not a huge Alien fan. She's not a huge Alien fan, but at the end we're like, bro, you want to watch another Alien movie? And we just got to watch another Alien movie. So that's kind of fun. And so that on top of playing with the new doggo, which conveniently enough has made best friends with the dog directly across the hall from us. So yeah, that's fun.
So got a friend, got a
boyfriend even. So, you know, I'm a dad now. So, yeah. So a boyfriend. It's a boy. She's a girl. So like, you know, we gotta.
Oh.
You know, yeah.
Do you approve?
So far, he's a sweetie. Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Okay. Very, very good. On the Alien side, I'm not a horror movie guy. What's the appeal, Brad? I don't understand. Why am I trying to scare myself during over a period of time? Is there a thesis behind this?
For me, I think it's more lizard brain stuff. So it's less about the scare jumpies and more about like, I want to see big monsters. It's the same reason I watched Jurassic Park and Godzilla movies over and over, and I'm disappointed over and over, frankly, because they're horrible. They're all so bad. But like, I just want to see a nice giant CGI monster.
Okay, so it's the monsters for you.
I think so.
I don't even know if I'm intrigued by monsters. I don't know. Funky, what's going on here? What's this obsession? Do you like getting scared? Do you want to routinely scare yourself for 90 minutes or so?
So I grew up on horror movies and I love them, but I just want to say there's only one Alien movie, and that's Aliens. Second one, which is directed by James Cameron in 1986, and it is B. If you've never seen it,
1986, Funky.
B. There's no CGI. Listen, and if Brett watched all the Aliens movies, I'm telling you, it's the best. Cap and Steve, they'll tell you it's the best. It's James Cameron. It's more like an action movie. Game over, man. Game over.
They're good, man.
All right. So if we reframe it as an action movie, maybe I can find some attachment to it. Let's see. Yeah, I don't even like action movies, to be honest. I'm not watching movies much, to be honest, at the moment, guys. Maybe that's part of the issue.
This is what I tried to avoid. Like, you know, she's sleeping right now, so I can say this. Like, whenever we got into this house, I was like, I don't want a TV. It's like, don't put one. Like, there's so much room you can take with this living room. If you don't put a TV here, let's don't do a TV because it'll catch. Like, we'll end up vegging for hours, like watching brain rot shit. It's like, I don't want that. And then, of course, she's like, oh no, you know, we just she won. I gave in. Yeah, now we burned an entire day watching alien movies. And then some fucking, you know what else was on? Some like Love Island, Our Perfect Match shit. So I watched the couples stuff.
No. We can't go in that direction, guys.
She
Got to
got me,
draw the
man.
line at Love Island. We're not. We can't.
Listen, I'm doing research on my phone, but I do occasionally look up and like, you know, figure out which couples are the pains in the ass. So I can't help it.
Fair enough. That's a dangerous one. Definite dangerous one. But look, guys, bit of danger in the market today. Let's get to the price action to get you up to speed with everything that you need to know as usual, starting with the majors. I'm going to share my screen for the people who are watching in. We're live on X video, YouTube, all the normal spots. We've got Bitcoin down a few percent to 115. That doesn't sound so good, although if you think about it, it's not that bad. It's down 5% on the week, down 2%. ETH is down 6% though to 4.2K. XRP is down 5%. BNB is down 3%. Solana's down 6%. And we have Cardano down 5%. We've got Chainlink up 1%. Hyperliquid down 9%, down to 43. Sui is down 7% to $3.55. On the meme coin side of things, we have.
You know what? So I'm just gonna, since you cited Hyperliquid there. So okay, so I know we've been talking about ETH treasury companies and how I've been getting fucked, if you will, by the ETH treasury or the Hyperliquid treasury company that I bought. And I started actually like digging in. I was like, you know what, I got to do that. Like I told everyone else, got to do the research, got to look in and see what the MNAV is, see whatever it is. It's currently at like 0.5 MNAV. So I'm buying $2 worth of hype for $1. So I got to figure out the machinations on how they actually got there, but it's actually tracked on the Blockworks Treasury dashboard. So you can keep real-time updates on like what that actually looks like. So now,
correct though, because I've read some people saying that you can't actually even figure it out for some of these companies. Like it's so obscure and non-transparent that it's hard to figure out.
Yes. So
I'm like, for me,
I'm just bringing this up as a bag holder of this thing. I'm incentivized to learn about it. It's like, I need to figure out now if the market is dumb and like doesn't understand what's actually going on here with this transition from Inovia to Hyperliquid. And it doesn't understand that this company has $70 million of Hyperliquid that is, in my opinion, going to continue to go up, or in that their market cap is 38 million. Right. So like they're priced at half of what they actually own, which is crazy. So I need to figure out, I need to continue my research. I'm going to dive in. I'll let you guys know what I find out on the other side. Either the market's dumb or I'm getting blasted. I'm going to double down.
Yes, please. I think it's incredibly important. We've kind of mentioned this a while, and actually in a way, it's kind of made me think I need to take some more off the table. And maybe we'll talk about this more in a bit, because the game has fundamentally changed now. If we say that we're in an institutional cycle and it's all of these companies that are buying the main assets, it means I'm fundamentally, like, I understand them way less than how I understood the flows beforehand. And it does feel like not a lot of people are putting in the additional work to understand the mechanics, which is exactly what you just described, right? Like, I need to understand the mechanics of how this entity's worked, because that's the one that's hoovering up a ton of the supply. So yeah, it's on my mind. We'll circle back to this, because when we talk about just general price action on the majors, I'll talk about one of my tweets over the weekend and kind of taking some profits and off the table and share some of my thoughts around that as well. Onto the meme coin side of things, we've got Doge down almost 5%, Pepe's down almost the same, Pengu's down the same, Bonk is down a bit more, SPX is down 8, Pump is down 10. Fartcoin is down 5, WIF is down 4, red, I'd say, you know, if we're going to generalize here, red single digit down across the board, useless coin is down 10. Pretty much the same story across the board there on the meme coin side. You know, mostly tracking the majors, to be honest. Every now and again, you do notice it's like, okay, well, ETH is down 6%, but Fartcoin's down 5. You know, I think at one point in time, memes would be beta in the sense they would go much higher if ETH went higher and then much lower if ETH went lower. But sometimes that's really not the case anymore. So that's just something to note. Getting into the headlines themselves, we have for discussion today, Bitcoin falling to 115K. Powell speech is coming up at the Jackson Hole Symposium. Pretty important speech, very anticipated speech. People often look towards that speech in August for maybe a potential turn in rhetoric. So we'll just touch on that today. A16Z backed Story Protocol founder Jason Zhao resigns to lead a different team building on Story. We'll get some reactions to that. The timeline had many. And then finally, Ronin announced it'll transition from an L1 to an ETH L2. We'll be turning that over to Bread towards the end of the show today. Just considering the significance, is that going to be something that continues to happen? Is it just a one-off? Ronin, obviously, a fairly significant gaming chain at the moment. Getting into some notable sales, CryptoPunk still selling in the 50 to 52 ETH region. Tyler Hobbs Fidenza sold for 36 ETH, and this beautiful wrecked guy selling for $45,000 with, I believe this is called a, I don't know what it's called, Bread, but it's fire gaze. Do you think that's appropriate? It's not laser eyes, is it? Well, is that a laser? Maybe it is a laser.
I mean, I just watched a bunch of space movies, so for me, that's like rocket jets coming out of a thing. So I think fire is probably plasma, maybe.
Maybe this is just a classic laser eye, but I just wanted to be a little bit different there to give
diffused laser eyes.
Yeah, it's one of the traits of laser eyes potentially, but we like that. Getting into the other bits of news, there's some interesting bits here. You've got Metaplanet buying some more Bitcoin. That's kind of common.
Oh, Japan to
approve its first yen-denominated stablecoin. That's pretty interesting.
So,
go on.
Approve stands out to me there. We have a permissionless system. Like, people can kind of just do whatever they want. We tokenize points that were ripped off the chain to get away from being on chain, and we put them back on the chain. Like, we can do whatever the fuck we want around here. So I'm interested into like what was there previously that forced it to be an approval as opposed to just like someone just like accumulating the yen and like, whoops, I tokenize this shit.
Okay, that's a good question, because I was looking at this article earlier. Let me just double check. It's on the block, and you're right, it is kind of interesting, right? Because Circle Tether just did it when there's private
in a hostile American environment, right? Tether and Circle and all these guys, they just like, give me the dollar and I will give you these things on the back end. Like, they just did it, right?
It's partly to do with my general thesis that all currencies are shitcoins apart from the dollar. Yes. Because if any of them were not, if any of them
especially so these last few years,
if any of them were good for anything, people would have made them already. That's the point. If people wanted the great British pound, that someone would have put it on chain and loads of people would have bought it because there's demand. There isn't. And so now you're going to get the government saying, right, we're going to build the CBDC or like we should get on the.
You're going to hear the internet go, thanks, but like that's cool, whatever. We'll just use the Tether.
Exactly. Like, you've got a government initiative pushing it, saying, yeah, we should do this blockchain stuff. It sounds good. It's like, guys, it would have been done already if it was any good.
Awkward.
So, very awkward. Yeah, unfortunate, but I guess they're going to figure out that. I mean, they will put a certain number of yen on chain, and I'm sure there'll be use cases for it. But compared to the dollar, it's not there. The demand's not there, in my opinion. Although the euro is on now and is useful for some stuff, I suspect. Okay, where did I go? That was a little detour. We've also got the Bitcoin Standard Treasury Company led by Adam Back, preparing to go public on the NASDAQ via merger with Cantor Equity Partners with 30,000 Bitcoin. We also have Norway Sovereign Wealth Fund increasing BTC exposure by 80%. This is really cool.
Yeah.
Liminal announces. Liminal is this the one you're talking about?
No, it's the Norwegian dudes. Because like the thing is, like, Norway Sovereign Wealth Fund, like all of that shit is like, they do everything totally transparently, which is why they're probably announcing this. But they have like dashboards and shit. Like, you could literally just see I gotta see if I can find the website that literally you just see the number go up, which is like the amount of money that Norway has in their sovereign wealth fund for all their citizens. And they notoriously overshare everything relative to like what an American would be used to. So I can go and I can see everyone's like explicit salary. I can see like who their boss is. I can see like all this shit. So like it's a big thing of contention a little bit on the inside that like, it should be transparent. But like now we can see like exactly. I wonder if like you get to the point of tracking down their wallets. Like that'd be pretty sick. I want to see if I can find it. BRB.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, have a little look. That's kind of cool to see. The thing that I was getting excited about was the next one, which is Liminal announcing tokenized delta neutral strategies. So users can mint XHype, XBTC, XETH, XSOL. At the moment, you hold your tokenized strategy. So like, obviously we're very big on Liminal. It means you kind of deposit in dollars and you can earn it's basically putting on the basis trade for you. But I guess what this is allowing you to do is you kind of mint those instead. So your capital's not all, if you have 10K in Liminal, it has to stay there in order to earn that. Whereas what if you could tokenize that and then take that with you and then stick that deposit into DeFi somewhere? That's pretty cool. That's at least the first thought that I had in my mind. Brad?
I found the website where you can actually just see the amount of money that they have going up. I don't know if that's interesting to anyone, but I did. As for this delta neutral thing, so I've actually been having this conversation a lot with. So we just did a thing in Copenhagen, which is Mafia 2 things. I've talked to other teams that are going down this path, and there's a little bit like this is intriguing to me, right? Like tokenizing these strategies. This is like the delta neutral stuff is interesting. For like farming purposes, right? So for people in the crowd who don't know what delta neutral means, delta is just like the change you expect, and it's so you're trying to, if you do anything that is like signaling a long or bullish position on one thing, you are also taking like the net downside of probably the same asset, usually the same asset on the other side. So you're neutral on the overall position. If it goes up, then you're staying neutral because one goes up, one goes down. If it goes down, one of your positions goes up, the other one goes down in proportion with the other. So it's like you're always at zero. Like that's the intention. And so you keep a always zero position on protocols that favor volume in some regard, right? So then you're okay, I'm farming volume on this thing, but I'm not making any actual money. Therefore, like it's a delta neutral strategy that actually makes me money because I'm getting a secondary thing that's subsidizing this thing with points or whatever. It made me wonder if like, I could see a world. This reminds me of like hyperliquid vaults, right? I go through that vaults list and I go, man, I would like to do some of these things, but I can't trust that these MFers are actually like doing the thing that they say they're doing, right? Like in the description, it's like, 2x long BTC, short hype and fucking Doge, right? It doesn't matter. But like, there's no
way to
actual,
check.
There's no way for me to know that they're doing it. And there's no way for me to provably see that like they're staying true to that. So I'm like, okay, what if you could sell strategies, right? Like, what if I had the ability to create strategies, tokenize it, and then sell that thing to where that strategy is automated, it's hard locked in, people can verify it, you can see the historical performance of it, you could like all these things. And like, that sounds intriguing to me as someone who doesn't do my own strategies. Like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And like, maybe the person selling the strategy is like, I'll do it. I'll sell off this strategy and I'll get 0.5% of like the volume that anyone gets on it, or the position anyone gets on it, 0.1%, 1%, whatever. Like trading bots take 1%. So like, fuck, we'll just say 1%, right? So then I make money selling the strategy. Other people make money on the strategy. The protocol makes X% on the volume, whatever. So like it works out for everyone in my mind. But then like that seems natural to me as like a middle trader, right? Like but the thing is, like the extreme end of the traders, the very professional ones, are probably doing this themselves, and they're not going to want to give up their strategy, right? It's that thing of like professional traders don't sell courses because they're like, because they don't need the money to sell the course, right? Like that's the thing. It's like self-selection of like the B tier plus stuff. So you never actually get the good shit potentially. And that's always like, that's a critique I can consistently hear for this, is that, yeah, like, who would want to do that? Because like, you're never going to get a good strategy. But I feel like it's a thing. I feel like it would work out. So what's your vibe on that?
I agree. All of the thinking, I think, is correct in that, and that is in part what Liminal is doing with these very, like, I mean, arguably basic basis trade strategies. It's like, you want to go capture the basis on Bitcoin. Here is that. Very like very straight for the most straightforward, common strategies. I think you can create these very specific products, and people will buy them. And I think what it will become to be is like, it will form part of your portfolio. It's like, you know, the basis on Bitcoin right now is like 7 or 8% or something. You like that, you like Liminal. Okay, let's have some of that while you do something else. I do agree with you though, when you take that, when you kind of open the marketplace out and allow you know, other people to create the strategies, I almost think there's less point in going that far for the reason that you described. I think there does exist a reason to capture the basis on Bitcoin or Fartcoin or Sol or whatever, because it's kind of a common move. Whereas the more you, the further you go out, you're taking a bet on the trader themselves. And I don't know, like, as you say, what the best traders, are they really going to put them on? What if everyone piles into the same trade? I'm definitely less convinced by the more exotic types of strategies. Although I think we should see them come to market though. Like, it would be interesting to see.
I'm pushing for it. I know of 2 teams that are like thinking about it. I'm trying to push them over the line of like trying to actually develop this thing on Mega. So like, hopefully it'll be there for you guys.
Yeah. I'd be super interested. Sorry,
well, it's all Athena did, right? Like Athena, all they did is they tokenized a single strategy that was done at scale, right? So it's like, yeah.
But this is what I mean. I think a very straightforward one can be a mass product.
Yeah,
it can be a mass product. The more exotic you get, the harder it will be to attract demand to it, and that's part of the nature of it. It's more exotic. Is it going to be successful? Is it not? It's kind of a gamble. And if you want to gamble, I can gamble on whatever coin at any point in time. That would be my thinking. It's like, well, why go for this kind of more niche strategy?
I just view it as like a creative outlet. I feel like, because like regardless of whatever you create, whether it's fucking Zora token creator coins, or it's an NFT thing, or it's tokenized strategies, or it's meme coins, what the fuck ever, it does not matter. Whatever you create, there will always be a subset of people that use it as a canvas, and they go incredibly deep, like creating, doing whatever, right? So like on the Zora stuff, there's a couple of people that are over there doing like these really novel, really interesting experiments where like, oh, if you buy or sell this coin, this every time you buy or sell it, it manipulates the image that does the thing. And like they're always like 6 or 7 layers deeper than everyone else, because they view it as a creative canvas and they think it's fun. And I feel like if someone were to create something like this, you're going to get a subset of people who just want to fucking create strategies. You'll get people that do that with like rug style shit. That's going to be scary. But like, you'll also get people that are genuinely just use it as a canvas. They say like, oh, I've never been able to do something like this. I'm really fascinated with it. I'm just going to create 560,000 strategies, and some of them are going to hit, and it's going to be weird, wacky, fun, whatever. And maybe something's great out of it.
Do you know what it reminds me of when you say it like this? And I think is a decent analogy. And this is the final bit as we kind of move it along. It reminds me of like prediction markets in a way where, sure, people can be as creative as they like in the construction of a prediction market, like create a new line, create a new thing. But in the end, you obviously will always have, and this is maybe just the power law at work, like the headline stuff. Who's going to be the next president? That's going to be the headline. It's going to be the biggest bet. That's where all the money's going to be. That's where all the liquidity is going to be. But sure, you can go and create more interesting niche things. My question mark would be, would the demand be there the further and more exotic you go in the creation of either prediction markets or tokenized strategies? But still worth the experiment, because I think it's an interesting, very interesting idea. So I was kind of excited by the Liminal one. Glad to hear you guys are thinking about it as well. Last few bits of news before we get to the main headlines. We had prominent investor Andrew Kang predicting ETH liquidations down to 3.2 or 3.6K. Portfolio tracker Cerebro announces a 0.08 ETH mint for 6,969 keys of power. It is a portfolio tracker that is being used by a lot of people. We're using it as well ourselves. And I think the mint is in a few days' time. And just a reminder, if you just joined us, we do have 5 whitelist spots to give away later in the show. They've already been selected. I put the message in our Telegram yesterday at some point. If you reacted to it, I included you in a raffle, and I'll announce the winners in just a little bit. That's in general how we're going to do, if it's up to us, we're just going to put it in the Telegram, various opportunities every now and again. There's no cadence to it. There's no guarantee that they'll always be there, but we'll just reward the people who are most active, tuning in, hanging out with us in general. And that'll be the kind of chilled way we go about those things. And then final bit of news, Pump Fund flips Hyperliquid in 24-hour revenue over the weekend. That's an interesting data point, to be honest.
Guess who I made it on the show. I brought it up when I was like, whenever the flippening happened again with Bonk, I was like, I had a Radium bag. Remember whenever they flipped, I bought Radium. Radium was up during that wave because I was like, if Bonk's going to continue this thing, Radium's going to be the underlying winner. It did good over that window. I think it was like 25% over that month or so. So I did good there. And then whenever I saw that chart, flipped right back to Pump. Whole thing full ported back into Pump, and now Pump's pumping. Because like if Pump, like if they're doing the revenue that is on par with or beyond Hyperliquid, like the question is the percentage and the durability of the buybacks, because like that's what everyone wants to see right now. Hyperliquid, as we know, is all 97%. They're hitting all-time highs. Things are crazy. Pump is less durable because it's meme coins. You saw them get that huge market share taken away by Bonk, but they do have a war chest, and it's not clearly 100%. Sometimes it was 25%. Sometimes it was over 100%. They're just kind of doing it like at will, buying back the Pump token. But you see that in the price of the two, right? Hyperliquid is at 48 billion, whatever it is, and Pump is at 3, right? So it's like a 12x difference, even though the fees are roughly the same. So, depending on how Pump plans this next move and like continues to like build up its ecosystem, obvious buy for me. So flip back into it.
Yeah, I think that's pretty wise. I guess there's a question. There is this continuous question about like the integrity of those fees, maybe, right? Like,
yep.
Is it
There's
like
a dashboard for it, so you can see it whenever they do it.
Yeah, I agree with you though. The discrepancy is too large based on fees.
Yeah.
And actually Pump is down today, as is the rest of the market, and is starting to look attractive.
Had a little pump over the last day or two.
Yeah, starting to look attractive there. Good stuff. So that's the roundup to get you up to speed with everything that you need to know that is going on. Brad, before we kind of gone off on a couple of things before, should we get right into it? Anything else you want to touch on? Anything's catching your attention before we get into the main headlines?
No, I think we swerved a little bit during that read off, so I think we're good.
Right, let's do it then. So first headline for today for discussion is Bitcoin falling to 115,000 ahead of important Powell speech at annual Jackson Hole Symposium. So just a quick kind of indication of why we think the market's kind of correcting a little bit here. Bitcoin slid to 115K as macro data continues to dampen market sentiment. We spoke about this a couple of days ago, where in essence, you try and make these things as simple as possible. The inflation data came out pretty hot. It appears to be the case that inflation was higher than expected. The reason why that is relevant is because it means that it is less likely that Powell will be comfortable to cut rates in a more hot inflationary environment, because if you cut rates further, that's typically seen as an inflationary event itself. So you don't want to pour more fuel on the fire and make inflation go out of control. And so when we saw that a couple of days ago, we saw the likelihood of a 50% basis cut reduce after it had been increased, when Besant started putting out the word, going onto the timeline saying we should be cutting by 50 basis points. But and when he started doing that, the prediction markets were going higher, but then they corrected down when this economic data came out, the inflation data specifically. And so, I don't know, guys, I've kind of been talking for a little bit how I thought that this is what I'm thinking. I've been speaking last week a lot about how I think we have to correct in September, right? Well, that's what I was kind of saying. I think we're kind of flying high because we're pricing it as if these cuts are guaranteed, and maybe they are to some degree, but if they're so small, I just don't think them actually announcing the small tiny cut is going to make a huge cataclysmic difference. Do I think it's good long term for asset prices if they do cuts? Yeah, sure, but I just think we've been running hot for so long that one specific event isn't going to be as stimulatory as people expect. And then in addition to that, now I think what the data is suggesting is, and maybe this would be complete carnage for people who are absolutely convinced that there has to be a cut in September, because that's really the conclusion of everyone. If you really had to say something now, the consensus opinion is that there will be a cut in September. But with inflation trending the way that it is, I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't know. Like, that's not what anyone wants to hear. But if it is, it's not going to be 0.5, I don't think. If it is, it will be the smallest one possible, because that would actually be the responsible thing if inflation is trending up. And I don't even know if from the political side, we're certainly no experts there, but it doesn't seem like there's any love lost between these two entities, and Powell seems to be willing to dig his heels in whenever is necessary beforehand. So I just think the markets run like really, really hot. Inflation's not looking good. And I think there's a chance everything's at all-time high already. And I think people are just kind of pricing in, or I think the mental model that the consensus view is kind of like, well, we just rip higher forever. This is the zenith of the Ponzi. Trump's going to send everything forever and ever and ever. And I think long term, I think that is still correct. But what I'm saying is it's not going to go in a straight line. And I think this is a perfect point for there to be some volatility, especially after the heat we've just had, with ETH running like, I don't know, almost 3x in the last few months, from 1.67 to 4.8. So yeah, I think, I think I said Saturday morning, I'm taking some stuff off the table. I feel a bit better about the positions just by doing that. But those are my kind of longer thoughts here. Just a few other ones in terms of Jackson Hole before, and I know Funky, you've got your hand raised, so I'll come to you in a second. Curious for your thoughts. So I guess the other part of this is this Jackson Hole symposium. The Federal Reserve is expected to even all the news articles, they just say the Federal Reserve is expected to resume rate cuts in September with a potential 25 basis points reduction anticipated. It's all been telegraphed already. And yeah, I just feel like therefore the price has run away from us a little bit. So just so you know, the Jackson Hole symposium is scheduled for August 21st to 23rd. So that's just in a few days' time. So we'll monitor that to see. I think there'll be some, I think eyes will be firmly placed on that to see what the situation is, and we'll monitor that. So, Brad, coming to you first. Any reflections on my general thoughts here? Obviously, I'm talking a little bit directionally too. Do you have any instinct here? And then we'll go to Funky.
I have no instinct on this one specifically, but just like as you were doing that, I was looking into some of the Norwegian stuff because I called it out. And just talking about inflation, they actually, on their sovereign wealth fund, you can see the relative valuation of their equities in kroner versus, which is their native currency, and US dollars. And like just talking about inflation and shitcoining all these currencies, you can see the runaway inflation of the kroner relative to the US dollar inside, because it shows the equivalence on bar charts right next to each other. And where the dollar is increasing a couple of percentages year over year, the kroner is just going up 5, 10, 15%. But yeah, I have something else I want to expand on that, but I don't want to take it away from the conversation. So give it back to Funky, and then we'll come back.
Cool. Thanks, man. Funky, bring you into the conversation here. What are your thoughts on a short-term bearish outlook potentially before the bullishness continues?
Yeah, I mean, I totally could see a period of chop again. I mean, we've been through that earlier in the summer before everything started to ride up. I think at the end of the day, I was reading a really interesting article, and maybe for something that the listeners don't think about the Fed too much. It's not simply, there's the dual mandate, and one of the other pieces that they have to take care of is the overall labor market. So, one of the concerns I think that's balancing out the PPI. Yes, did it come in hot at whatever percent? Sure, which is the producer index. A lot of times we focus on the CPI, which is the consumer index. But the producer index is more important because, so much of our GDP is driven by services. And of course, that's a big, big, big chunk of what PPI looks at. But more importantly, the labor market, the last couple, July, we had, I think it was 75,000 jobs added to the payrolls. And they revised the 2 previous months downward to like 35,000. So it shows the labor market is weakening. And that, I think, is the bigger. I think that's probably why, on balance, we might end up with a 25 basis point rate cut, because I think 50 points is, to your point, B, totally off the table at this point, especially with the hot inflation reading. So, and politically, with what's going on with Trump and Powell's sort of a lame duck. He can do what he wants, right? Like he's done in May of 26. So I am kind of curious to see what he says at Jackson Hole, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get that 25 basis point cut. But to your point, I think so much of this is priced in because we have been running so hot for so long that I don't know if it's going to make any kind of material difference.
Interesting thoughts. I really like that additional context on looking after the employment side. I think that's really important to add to the conversation. One other thought on this, I'm going to try and articulate. I've got like a bunch of thoughts on it where I think it's possible to be right, like direction. It's kind of the same thing that happens in crypto in general, right? Like the long-term trend is up and to the right. But I'm just starting to notice more and more things where like friends texting me, asking me what to buy, people who would ordinarily like not be interested at all, asking me if they should buy more of something or something else. And you can be right on a long time frame, but it can still be the wrong time to buy right now if you're if you are looking to profit in a shorter time frame. I don't know if I'm expressing that in the best way, but I guess what I'm thinking is, like, when you look at ETH treasury companies, for example, you can be correct that they are the thing that will send prices higher over the long term, but you could be wrong and the thing that it's going to completely send everything immediately because of various other factors. And because in some ways, if you think about MicroStrategy buying and other entities buying, like the thesis for Bitcoin for a long time has been, this is going to get bought by governments. This is going to get bought by companies. It's going to get, like, people have thought that for ages. And it doesn't mean that it didn't draw down like aggressively in each bear market. And then every time it comes back stronger. And then it does end up taking up the mantle of being that type of asset where those types of institutions end up collecting it. So this is the thing I'm just thinking about myself, because remember, I'm in my second cycle, made a bunch, lost some of it, made a bunch more this time. It's like I'm just trying to manage the thought process and not get over. It's like, yeah, look, do I believe that these institutions are going to keep holding more, keep buying more? Yeah, I do. That doesn't mean that it's in a straight line necessarily. So just managing that that flow, I think, is where I'm at. I wanted to share that out loud. Brad, any final reflections there before we maybe take it to the next headline? What does that make sense to you? Like managing, being right, but kind of depending on the time frame.
I mean, it's always it's if being early is the same as being wrong.
Yeah, sometimes you can be too early as well, right?
Being early, yeah, but it's all time frames, yeah.
And you can be right but too late, and therefore be wrong because you were too late.
Yeah, right. In this case, is number go up, right? So like, so if you're right on the thesis, like people in the 1980s and 90s were right on the thesis that AI and automation and mobile cell phones and whatever are going to take over, computers are going to take over the world. The internet was going to come, but they're all broke dicks because they did it too early, right? The technology wasn't there. So being right is the same, or being early is the same as being wrong. Same thing with being late. If you're like, I could say like, yeah, you could have said, oh, Ethereum is going to take over the world and it's going to grow and be whatever, like as it was coming down from the highs of 2021, and you were wrong for 5 straight years. And then like, okay, now you're kind of right, like, because right is number go up higher than whenever you bought. Like, sure, but like if you capitulated over that 4 year, you objectively made the worst decision for that time period, right? Like you could have bought anything else and gone up and then bought into ETH. Like, yeah, timing is more important than the thesis, frankly.
Yeah, it can be. It can be for sure. So yeah, that's definitely. I just wanted to put that out there out loud, trying to articulate some of the thoughts I've been having over the last couple of weeks, especially as it comes to the point where just trying to be a bit more defensive, right? Like we've gone up so much, and whilst I don't necessarily subscribe to the 4-year cycle as religiously as maybe people did before, I just think if the expectation, I just think this is a big ask. This is what, if you're bullish for the next 4 years or something, this is the demand you're making of the market in a way. You're saying we've gone from 16K Bitcoin to 116K Bitcoin. And then after that, Trump is meant to run it hot for the next 3 years on top. Like, so I think that is a big ask. I do think we go up into the right over the long period of time. Obviously, that's why I'm in this market. But yeah, I think there's going to be corrections. Maybe this is not like a genius thing to say, but like just kind of stating the obvious. But I don't know. I think this is a good time for a little bit of correction, basically, especially with this kind of data coming out and the conflict with the Fed. Let's see. Anyway, we've articulated that. That's what's going on. We'll definitely keep an eye on Jackson Hole in the next couple of days. Let's get into the second headline, Brad, which is for you. We had Story Protocol.
I want to do one thing that's very interesting. So I wanted to like dovetail it on the last thing with
yes, please. You
I looked
lead it in that.
Yeah, I looked into the Norwegian sovereign wealth fund buying into Bitcoin, and just to see like what the story is about, what was going on. They actually have it through MicroStrategy and MetaPlanet, which is like Japan's MicroStrategy. So they don't actually have any Bitcoin. They just, someone looked over their filings, and they're, again, it's all transparent on their website. That's what I went and looked and saw what their actual allocation was to each of these things. They own 1%, just over 1% of MicroStrategy and 0.5% of MetaPlanet. The fund itself is measured in trillions. They have so much goddamn money. Yeah.
Why does Norway have so much money, man? What are they up to over there? You live there or in that region?
They have literal oil. Like they have the entire coast up there, right? So like all the oil along the coast, and then they have organic oil, also known as salmon. They get the shit out of it all up and down that coast. So they just export both of those things, and people buy it in droves. So it's all oil and salmon.
Love it. Beautiful.
Yep. They do all that stuff off the coast, and on the coast it's all nice and pretty and mountainous and clean and whatever.
Love it. Sounds great. Sounds like a great life.
Yeah. So anyways, that was just interesting. I was like, okay, cool. Like, oh, they bought Bitcoin. I want to track down their stuff. They're like, no, they just had like their Bitcoin equivalent ownership in MicroStrategy and in MetaPlanet, which again is Japan's MicroStrategy. So they're just buying these treasury companies the same way that we are.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I think they do find it easier. Okay, good stuff. Thanks for that extra context. Let's slide into the next headline then, Brad. If you want to set it up, get straight into it.
Yeah. So the second one is about A16Z backed Story Protocol founder Jason Zhao, who resigned to lead a different team building on Story. So you guys may know Story. Story kind of came to light recently. I had TGE something like 6 months ago, actually exactly 6 months ago. What he's doing is he's pivoting to build Poseidon AI, citing his like creative expression through that and his first love of building an AI AI-derived protocol. And he said he has a vision for AI-driven industrial revolution, and it hinges on overcoming data bottlenecks with IP-cleared data sets. So the thought is just that he's going to have data sets that are free from basically things that like you'll get people pissed off, and then using that to train AI. It's kind of whatever. The bigger thing out of this is that his announcement came 6 months and 3 days after his TGE, which his cliff just so happens to be 6 days or 6 months. So it was that was the more notable thing. And you saw a bunch of stories come out from a bunch of different people, just like,
how do the founders have 6-month cliffs?
Crazy. It's crazy.
That's wild.
You know, you saw a lot of like, you know, you see like Tolly's obviously are honestly often the contrarian, and he's like, bro, just give everyone 100% day one. So like, he's just like, everyone just get the same exact, like from the start, everyone get the shit, just let it get out in the market, let the market settle it. And then you saw other people having your expression, which is like mother effers, like give it a year, 2 years. Like there's some level of industry standard here. And then, you know, you saw a lot of the trolls like doing a multi-panel image of like Jason Zhao from Story. Obviously, you got the Arushi from Movement. You had Cecilia from what's the Morpho or no Morpho is the DeFi protocol, which is good. And they converted everything from equity to tokens. It's all 100% tokens. There is no equity there, which is like they're going in the right direction. Morph L2 was her, which is she was kept getting commented as like a puppet, and then obviously Mo from Aptos, who did the exact same thing, where like after what his cliff was. But
so what's your take?
You know, I don't fault him for wanting to like build on his own chain and like continue to like challenge new stuff. And like 3.5 years of building, I think there's also something to acknowledge. Yeah, it's crazy. Story raised 140 million, now only earns $17 per day in fees. Like everyone keeps looking at fees for a lot of this shit. Same thing, like Celestia gets the same like club beaten over their head, right? Where Celestia's got a $12 billion token, but they earn $30 a week in fees. So but I don't fault him for wanting to do something separate, different. Because like, you know, you grow and you do whatever, and businesses frankly should have different leaders for different phases of their growth. So maybe he's just really good at growing and like shifting it off to the next person, which he just set up standards and protocols within the actual team to like take it to the next level. So like I'm open to that idea. It feels kind of gross. And like given the level of mockery that the chain has had from everyone else up to this point, it just is like another feather in its cap in that same direction, which is never great.
I think that's quite a mature response. I think the trigger happy response is to say this is awful, it's terrible, it's illegal. I mean, it's not illegal at all, but like it's just like it's a ridiculous thing to be able to found something and leave with all this money at one point in time, so soon after starting. The point that I really like that you made is the one about leaders for different stages. I think it's genuinely true. Like someone can take something from 0 to 1 and then be terrible at taking them from 1 to 10, and then be terrible from going 10 to 100 or whatever, but could be fantastic at 0 to 1. I don't know whether, I mean, you would, okay, there's obviously two ways to assess performance to date. The token price is expensive. So whatever has been done, in the Story Protocol office to maintain a, let's see, $5.6 billion valuation, given that is one of the metrics that people look at in this industry, you know, being backed by A16Z, I think always has a bit of a premium, but something has gone right because of that. I know there's some games that you can play. I don't know if some games have been played, but you know, performance-wise, that's the case. On the other side, as VX Crypto in the comments shared just a second ago, very interestingly, Story raised 140 mil now and $17 per day in fees. Like, I think objectively that is not the amount of activity or fees that you'd want to be earning, irrespective of the price. Like you want your chain to be used more than that. So maybe performance there has not been as good. My main take when it comes to these things in general, though, is more something like these things happen, whether it's in crypto or business, whatever. There is always injustice in some way, particularly with money. It's very common to look at other people's financial situation and either compare or say it's unfair or whatever. And my general perspective is I'm just not interested because you can't control other people. You can't control, like, these things are always out of your control, your zone of control. And so do I approve of it? Would I do that as a founder? Would I tell you, Brad, tomorrow, by the way, mate, I'm out. we signed a good deal. We got paid up front and I'm going to be leaving. I'll leave it to you and Legendary. Like, no, I wouldn't do that. But you know, some people they might have other teams and they might want to do other things. So fair play, you know, everyone just move on. That's, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, there's potential to be so much under the surface that we don't actually know. I know,
Exactly.
like Mike Dudas cited a quote tweet from someone else, which was just saying that, like, you know, a lot of times like this stuff, it just comes down to egos between the co-founders, like, or like, maybe
someone
Jason
had to leave.
was the one was at the front, and they're like the
like me
secondary
or you.
person's like, it's like I recruited the buy-in from some of our lead investors, and they said, like, I am the appropriate person to lead this stuff forward. You're not doing it well enough because we're only generating $17 in fees. You haven't done well to this point. Let's kick this guy out. You have to have this like announcement. And like, possible, right? There's just so much we don't know.
Completely true.
Doesn't look
very
possible,
good point.
right?
Very good point. Sometimes this stuff is just for optics, and there's far more concrete reasons in the background. Appreciate that. Right, Brad, we've got 2 things left to do today. We have 2 minutes left. We're going to run over, but do you want to take at least 2 of the minutes to just give us a quick hit on this final headline? I think it's really interesting because I want to know if we need to be aware of this kind of thing. Are L1s going to start becoming L2s because Ronin has just decided that? Is this a bigger trend? It's just isolated? What do we need to know?
I mean, they're not the first. So Ronin just announced that they're moving from being an L1 to turning into an Ethereum L2. Celo famously has done this in the past. They completed their migration something like 6 months ago. They were previously part of the Ethereum ecosystem, went off to be their own chain, and then came back as an L2. I forget which stack they're in now, but probably Optimism, because everyone goes to Optimism. So like, there's incentive to do that. What's most notable about this one is, right, you have to understand what you like, the costs that you have as a business to be an L1 versus to be an L2, right? So to be an L1, you have to have a validator set. You usually pay those validators to run their machines and to centralize in token emissions, right? There's usually between 6 and 10%, which is, you know, crazy, but like, that's all money going to just validators, people just simply running hardware to keep your system alive. And the pushback on that, or the thought process on that with Ethereum, is that, like, look, Ethereum has a validator set, incredibly decentralized. It's been around for a long time. They have a good monetary policy. They have a popular asset, all this stuff. You know, like, you can eschew the costs of your own security budget to come be an Ethereum L2, push down your settlement to Ethereum, and then you no longer have that cost, which can be upwards of millions of dollars daily, weekly, you know, however big your emissions are. So Ronin saw that and said, they made the decision, it's like, okay, we're going to now get rid of that cost to us, which is, you know, the millions of dollars, and we are going to settle to Ethereum. We are going to use that same money and push it towards our ecosystem, so people building on top of the chain. So they are going to have a proof of distribution, I think is what it was called, which is like their new mechanism for converting the Ron token and utilizing it in this new construction, where instead of pointing all of those emissions to people running hardware, is pushing to people building on the chain through a combination of social metrics, gas fees burn, like all this stuff. It's like, that's what they're doing with that amount of money that was previously just going to, like, keeping the lights on up for the chain and trying to keep it decentralized. Some of the interesting decisions that they made for this, that people want to know, like, does this make my ETH bags go up? Right, that's what everyone cares about. And I'm sorry to tell you that, like, this has been my pushback for this roadmap for Ethereum since the beginning, right? So Ronin goes, we're going to be an ETH L2. Awesome. How does that make Ethereum money? Why does it make people put the number go up? What Ronin is doing is they are settling to Ethereum. They will not use ETH for gas. they will use EigenDA for data availability, which, remember, there's two components that any L2 has to post. One is like the settlement, which is a small little bitty proof, takes a couple dollars maybe to post down to Ethereum. And then there's the bundle of transactions, the raw text that makes up all the transactions that take place on the chain. And that can either be stored in Ethereum blobs, which is something that I wrote about previously, or elsewhere, alternative data availability platforms. That's Celestia, that's EigenDA, that's Avail. There's a bunch of them. And those are usually cheaper. But like you give up a little bit of security, but no one gives a shit about security. So so what they're doing is they're using EigenDA and they're settling to Ethereum, which means that it's very, very cheap for them. They barely use any Ethereum. It costs basically nothing. I'm talking orders of magnitude of dollars per week, costs nothing. And that's what they're going to do. So you're going to have a chain that is basically doing nothing for Ethereum. Like, it's going to be totally obscured on the front end. You're not going to know it's settled in Ethereum. Everything will be denominated in RON still. It will not pay a bunch in Ethereum blob cost, which is the most expensive thing that you can actually get from Ethereum, especially as Ethereum continues to scale its execution environment. Yeah, so it will do nothing for the Ethereum or ETH ecosystem, but it's good for Ronin, because it's cheaper for them. They can be faster, cheaper, support more builders. They have less cost to themselves. Everything makes sense for them. And then just as like a secondary thing, two secondary things is, one, they're also now courting all of the L2 stacks. So you have Arbitrum, Optimism, ZK Sync, whatever, all of these little like clusters of L2s want chains to come to them that'll bring activity. And Ronin is one of the more active chains in the ecosystem. I think it was number 4 across all chains based on activity the last year. So like they're all going to want it. So just like Robinhood probably got a sweet deal from Arbitrum to launch their chain within the Arbitrum ecosystem, I'm sure Optimism, Arbitrum, ZK Sync are all going to start putting together packages to say, hey, you should come to hang out with us and be part of our cool ecosystem. We'll give you a gajillion of our tokens, which is what happened with OP Stack. That's what happened with Arbitrum. You know, it's what happens pretty traditionally. And then finally is that Ronin, which Axie Infinity is on, because they have a pretty good foothold in a lot of these emerging countries. So the Philippines, you have the Thailand, you have Indonesia, you have like all of these smaller areas that are like really actually dominant in these small mobile gaming circles. It's actually pivoting to become a payment provider in these emerging markets, very similar to how you see Tether and you go, oh, or not Tether, Binance. And you go, Binance is cool because it's a big exchange. That's like, no, it's actually popular because it serves as a bank in all of these emerging companies or countries, right? So you have Argentina, you have, the East Asia, you have all these places that use Binance as their bank account, and they transfer money through there because it's easy, accessible, and it's away from their native currency. Ronin is trying to do the same thing with their gaming entry in all of these areas, which has deep penetration. So that was interesting as a revenue generator.
I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? Like if you've got all the gamers, it's just such a huge populous group of people. You just sell them the banking services on the battle, adjacent to that, because you've got all of them so engaged already. So I think that's a smart way to kind of stealth.
Their goal is to slow down the money, right? Like if you have economics flowing through your app, whether it's an actual literal payments protocol like or processor like Venmo or PayPal, right? Like we have that, right? And across the country, and I've slowly built up a small amount of money in Venmo because I'm so used to people paying me and I'm paying other people in it. So I have thousands of dollars sitting in this account just because it's useful. Like I'll keep it there for a while. And that's all money that they can make on the back end, right? As a bank. Same thing, same principle applies here.
Got to be a bank. Being a bank is the game, guys. That's the long-term game. But look, that's a great show. What we have to do now before we close out, just got to take a couple of minutes to do our Cerebro giveaway. Delighted to say we had Cerebro grant us 5 whitelist spots for the upcoming mint. If you're unfamiliar, Cerebro is a portfolio tracker. Myself and Legendary, I think Brad played around with it as well a little bit, but we really like it. We think it's really good. It's a part of the market that's really hard to find something useful because everyone's doing things on a million chains and it's hard to get on top of it. It does a really good job. Mav is the founder and we get along really well with him. He's done an awesome job so far. They're doing this mint. It's a It's for the Alice Keys of Power. It's 0.08 ETH mint. There's going to be 6,969. The whitelist guaranteed are going to have 5,000 of the supply, and then there's going to be a public sale of 2 per wallet, 1,750. And I think this is taking place. When is it? Oh, 21st of August, 2025. So this is in 19, 20, 21, Thursday, on the 21st. So that is what we did. I shared in the Telegram yesterday for a short message to say, if you are interested, just react to it. This is the way we're probably going to do giveaways in future, rather than make a big deal on Twitter. I mean, maybe we have to do the retweet thing sometimes, maybe we, depending on what partners we have. But we're just going to keep it for the people who are, always interacting, always tuning in, always catching up with us. So if you do want to join the Telegram, send us a DM. We'll get you in if you're a routine listener, so you can participate in more of those things as and when they come available in the future. We don't know how many we'll get, but I'm sure we will get some more on a routine basis. So on to the winners, because I've selected them already. I will in future get it all set up so we can do them live. But I took the 5. This is the proof. I took a photo of the proof, Brad. Can you see this? Can you see? You can't see.
I can. No, you can. You can see. I mean, you can't make it out, but I can see that you did something, and it says Husker.
Okay, so I'm going to just show Brad the photo for all the winners. So the first winner was Husker. I literally just took a photo of the laptop because I had it set up on a different computer. Second winner, Brad.
Blue Toshi.
There you go. Third. There's some suspense to this, right?
Look, is that funky? It's funky. Nice.
It is. Fourth winner.
This one is 7. Straight up spelled SEVEN.
Yep. And the final winner.
Final winner is
Cerebro giveaway.
MIK Mick. Oh, nice. We got a couple of longtime listeners here. Sick.
For sure. Love this comment from RCIE. Incredible tech. That is incredible tech. that it had the. I think that was actually had more suspense. Like the time that you have to wait to get Brad to read it. Everyone's kind of zooming in on the. I think I like this format. I don't know if we should change, Brad. What do you think? Do you like that one, or should we actually do it properly?
No, of course we should say with this. Yeah, it gets me involved. It has some suspense to it, a little bit of everything.
There we go. I love it. Right. So guys, if you won, you need to send me your wallet address on Telegram in the community challenges channel. Reply to the original message. Send me your wallet address. We'll get that sorted out. I need to send it to the Cerebro team by today. You have how many hours do I need to give you? You have 8 hours to do that, because I must send it over to them today. If you do not send it in 8 hours, then I send it to, I reopen it and give it to someone else who applied. So please do send me that address in the next 8 hours. Ideally, just send it now, please, because that makes it all much faster. Good stuff, guys. Hope that was a good show. Hope you enjoyed it. Congratulations to the winners. Thanks to Cerebro for hooking us up with a few whitelist spots. Hopefully we'll have more opportunities to give away to our routine and loyal listeners over the rest of the summer and into Q3 and Q4. Hope you have a wonderful day. Take care. We will be back again with you same time, same place tomorrow. Have a good one. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.